Hey, gang, is the Thanksgiving celebration turning into more of a stress-giving situation? If it is, stay tuned. I got some stuff for you.
Busy? Curious? Need a safe place to explore your Christian faith? Sometimes, the best place to look for God is on the fringe of our own faith. This is a place for you.
All right, just letting you guys know, my name is Pastor Don Zlati. I'm your cruise director in a brand new podcast that I'm hoping to launch in January called On the Fringe of Faith. This will be a place where I'm inviting all of you to come in and let's share together. I'm not a churchy person, and I know that sometimes we kind of feel like the church lets us down, so I wanted to create a safe space for all of us to have questions of faith and have conversations. So anyway, so let's go back to the original thing. Thanksgiving is like super stressful. It leads right into that whole Thanksgiving, Christmas season. And, it's really hard. Our anxiety levels get really, really high because there's just so many things going on. And we're pulled this way and we're pulled that way. And we're expected to do this and be this and to prepare this. And to be honest with you, it's no wonder we certainly aren't having as much fun as I think we could. And it's really hard to maintain a thankful sort of perspective of the things that you have in your life when you're so busy doing. Now, I will tell you that from Scripture, I will say that there was a couple ladies, their name was Martha and Mary, sisters. They had a brother, Lazarus, and that's a story I'll tell some other day. But Martha and Mary were two very, very different people. Martha was a kind of a doer. In this particular case, she had company coming over, and her main focus was, we got to do, the house has got to be done, the food's got to be in place, I got to do. And even when the company arrived, even when her friends came, she was unable to spend time because she was so wrapped up in that anxiety of making sure that everything, all the food was ready, everything was in place. And so she lost, for that brief period of time, she lost the blessing of sharing this together time with her friends. Now, Mary was the opposite. Mary was completely into hanging out with her friends at that time. I will tell you, that kind of stressed Martha out a little bit. To be honest with you, the crazy thing is, Mary could have helped Martha out a little bit, but nonetheless, Mary knew something, that the time spent together in that group was far more important than all the drinks and snacks and all this other stuff that was going on. Now, maybe you are the doer this Thanksgiving, and so you're running like a crazy person trying to get everything done. It's like Wednesday, and we got to make sure that everything's lined up. We got people coming. The house has got to be clean. That everything's got to be in its place. The turkey's got to be in at the right time, and all this. And I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, are you doing so much that you are unable then to see what you should be thankful for? All the things that make Thanksgiving worth celebrating is all the things that lead up to it, not the final things that we do to kind of impress our in-laws or whatever the case is. We drive ourselves crazy trying to please everybody, but sometimes we lose out because we're so busy doing all that stuff that Thanksgiving becomes stress-giving. And I don't think that that's what it was intended for. And certainly the Christmas season right after it is not intended to be all this stressful. But to be honest with you, the world kind of does that to us. So I wanted to leave you with some things, and maybe this will be helpful. The first thing is, you got to know that if you've got a doer problem where you're just trying to get everything done and you're overwhelmed, you got to be able to recognize that it's just too much. And you've got to ask for help. And if the people around you love you, like I'm certain that they do, they're going to recognize that if you're asking for help, you need help. And that doesn't diminish the fact that, you're awesome and you're hosting, or you got to load up the kids and your family or the dogs or whatever and go over to the in-laws. That's a whole other thing that we don't even think about. How many times you're being pulled left and right because you got one set of in-laws, or if you've been married a couple times, you have places you got to go and everybody expects and expects and expects. At some point, you got to say, okay, I'm overwhelmed. And that is not a tragedy. You understand? It's not a tragedy. Being overwhelmed is not a tragedy. The tragedy comes when we feel like nobody's seeing us and nobody's hearing us, and we're overwhelmed and we don't think that anyone will help us. That is. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is understand, get to know your trigger points. And if you're overwhelmed, take a moment and ask for help. It's not worth doing Thanksgiving and all this season we're coming into if you're not going to be able to sit and enjoy and experience that hope, peace, love, and joy that comes with it. All right. The second thing is, look, this is not a religious thing, but I want to talk to you a little bit about faith. Sometimes we get so overwhelmed that we forget to go to the one source of calmness that we have available to us, and that's God. We can. God's got broad shoulders. If you're stressing out, he's a pretty good person to kind of unload to and just ask, Lord, help me. What's really important? I mean, what is the most important thing about our Thanksgiving? Is it the turkey and all that other stuff, or is it coming together? Is it having everything perfect, or is it being together, the relationships and the community that you've built with family and friends? I mean, ask God to help you discern that and push aside this need to always exceed, right? And then the other thing is, to celebrate Thanksgiving without actually celebrating Thanksgiving is not any fun. Remember that you are enough right now. You are loved. You matter. You don't have to be Superman or Superwoman. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to be that person that pulls it all together. Like Thanksgiving isn't going to stop coming every year because you didn't get Figgy Newtons or you didn't have your bread pudding done right. Cut yourself some slack. Give yourself a break because you matter. You, the person that you are, not the person that you think everyone expects you to be, but the person they love is the person that you are long before the turkey. And when you're thinking about that, start looking at the things that God has given you, right? Plenty to be thankful for. The things that are really important, family, friends, your kids, your loved ones. And remember to give them grace too, because you're not probably the only person stressing out. And sometimes if we would take a little bit of time to sit back and say, okay, I'm thankful. I'm thankful because I am loved. I'm thankful because I matter to these people. And you know what? They matter to me too. And take a moment to tell the people that you love them. Sometimes I think we take life so fast that our anxiety level gets so up that we stop to think about what the most important thing is of this season. Well, my friends, I'm hoping that this is helpful to you, and just know that I love you and that you matter to me, and that I'm hoping that you will join me come January and bring your conversations, because to be honest with you, we're much better in this together, and community is so important. So God bless. Have a great Thanksgiving. What?